welcome to GlassBox. My name's Drew, and welcome to my channel. Basically, on here I want to showcase my Planet aquarium. I've got a 55 litre at work. There's a 4 foot here. I've got a little terrarium as well that I can talk about. But yeah, I've got a lot of passion for this hobby, and I love keeping fish and livestock, and yeah, working with the aquascaping and maintenance of the tank and all of those type of stuff. So there's plenty to talk about and plenty to show you guys. So I guess I'll start by how I got into the hobby. Basically, when I was living in Brisbane, I got into salt water, into marine. So I had a mate who ran a fish shop there and was just amazed by the different livestock and the corals and everything that you could actually get. So I grew up in a small town near the ocean near Fraser Island called Hervey Bay, and always loved the ocean and needed to be near it. So when I moved to Brisbane, I felt that was an easy way to get my fix of the ocean, and probably preferred looking at the fish tank than swimming in the ocean. So it was nice to have that little part with me. My first fish tank was a 2 foot by 1 foot bow front. That's the curved front ones. And it was a marine aquarium. It had a acrylic hang on the back filter with a built-in protein skimmer. I ran a chiller on that tank, and yeah, it mostly housed long polyp stony coral, a couple of clownfish, a pufferfish, yeah, all the cool stuff. Had that tank running for a few years and then shut it down when I moved over to Western Australia, where I live now. And after a few years of living here, I set up a monster marine tank, 5 foot by 1.5 foot by 2.5 foot, which was a bit of a different size. It was a custom built tank with beveled glass and all of those crazy things. It had a 900 high stand because I'm quite tall, so I like leaning on that and looking into the tank. I'd like to do a video of that. I've got some old photos and a bit of vision there, so I could probably do a little video on that one explaining that money pit. Yeah, and then I've got a few fish tanks now. I've got a 4 foot here at home. This is a planted community tank with CO2. I've got a 55 litre little tank at my work, and I'll show you that. That's only recently been set up within the last month, so still doing its thing. This tank has been running since early 2017, so coming on 2 years and 7 months. So that came about, I shut my marine tank down with the birth of my first child. So I just ran out of the time and couldn't spare the 2 hours a week that you had to scraping coralline algae off the bloody thing. So yeah, I broke that down and practically gave it away, because that's what happens in the hobby. You spend $1 million setting things up and then give the thing away for nothing. Which brings me to this bargain. I got this on Gumtree for $200 with the custom built stand made by the young bloke's dad. And I think he was a cabinet maker, so that thing's amazing. It's nice and tall. It fits in all of everything that I want. I've got a CO2 bottle and my filter on one side, and I've got just basically odds and ends on the other side. Don't look in there, it's a bit messy actually. The lighting, it's got 2 LED lighting. One was the original lighting bar at the back there. That was the one that came with the tank. And it just wasn't doing it for me for the levels of lighting, so I've added this second light here. This is just a D aquarium. I buy most of my stuff off eBay, and yeah, have had mostly successes, touch wood. That includes, you know, like the canister filter that I'm running under here. That's just a Chinese one, but they all got the Australian power cords on it, so that's one thing I'd like to stress, that make sure you get an Australian standardized power. That would help you. This is a 2400 litre per hour. It's got UV. It does surface skimming, which is a good feature to get the film off the top of the water. Pulls it on the left hand side or right hand side, your right hand side of the tank, takes it into the cabinet, filters, UVs, pumps it back up on a spray bar that I've got right across the back there. So my main water flow is coming towards the front of the tank. Being the marine background that I was talking before, you know, I kept a lot of SPS coral and clams and things like that, so flow was quite important to me, and I think I've carried that through in this by just including a couple of the low-powered wave makers in there. They're cheap Chinese ones as well, but they also have the Australian background, Australian plug on it, and I think they were about 30 bucks each, and you can see that the flow's not outrageous, but yeah, I think it's important to be able to make sure that you don't have too many areas of detritus and stuff settled within your tank. Let's talk about the plants. Okay, I really love my crypts. I love the Anubias that I've got through here. There's some large Anubias and the banana. A lot of the Nana Petite is actually flowering, which is awesome to see. Needle leaf Java fern. I've got some bobitis. I don't even know. I'm going to struggle with these names, to be honest. There's a lot of Christmas moss that I picked up on a guy who grew it on some egg crate, so I'm going to grow that out and look forward to propagating that. Yeah, I've got some mini African sword that I bought from Bunnings. There's Glosso Mud Mat as well that I've put in recently, and this nice purple thing that I can't remember the name, but I'll pop it up and I'll do a bit of a closer run over the tank with some footage. One thing I didn't talk about is the livestock. So it houses golden white cloud mountain minnows, which is the main fish that you can see through there. I really like how they contrast against the plants within there. There's some harlequin rasboras in there. There's a nice little school of neon rainbow fish, which I really like. I'm starting to get into that. I didn't like them at the start, only because I saw some of those fully grown ones and they look a bit munted, but hopefully I can get them big and fat. That'll be a good achievement for me. I've got a couple of bristlenose, the largest of which is called Mr. T Sucker. Sucker! That's one of my kids' favourite thing to say. Pretty much the only fish that I've named, to be honest. Yeah, lots of cherry shrimp. Established community now, there'd be hundreds in there. Lots of buried females, which is good to see. I've got heaps of black cory cats, which I'm a huge fan of. There's also some petricola catfish in there, but you know, I spent a fair bit of money on them and I haven't seen them since. Oh, there's one right there. But yes, they like to live up underneath all the wood in there, so I rarely see them unless I really sit down and look, but I guess that's part of the fun. Oh yeah, I don't want to forget my little Otocinclus catfish, one of my favourite algae eaters. So if you ever want to have a community tank and you want to have something that'll keep plants and glass clean, chuck a handful of Otocinclus catfish in there and I think they'll do a really good job for you. But okay, so there is CO2 injected on my tank. I've got a Chinese regulator that I bought off eBay, surprise surprise, and I've hired a 6 kilo, what is it called? I've hired a 6 kilo bottle from BOC, and that's on a $70 a year subscription. I'm currently using a bit more than one bottle a year, so I've had to pay that subscription twice. It's basically 70 bucks for a bottle, and they want you to use one a year. I've used a bit over that. But my CO2's on a timer. It comes on an hour before lights and shoots off an hour before lights, so that's been plenty. A drop checker is probably imperative to have there, just to make sure that you're injecting the right amount of CO2 within the tank. But yeah, all in all, I love this tank. I guess it's a lovely little tank, and yeah, I'd love to share with you more. Just some vision of these guys. You know, I sit and look at this thing for hours, and it's really nice. I often find myself gazing into it and following all my fish. I really like feeding them. I really like maintaining the tank. Maintenance wise, I do just over 30% water change. You know, 70 to 75 litres. It's a little bit of a labour of love for me. I've got heaps of indoor house plants, like a crazy amount. I use a little watering can, and I drain some out, and then I walk around and water all my plants. It gives me a good chance to check on them and see how they're all doing. Yeah, once I get my water level down, I mix up some water in a bucket, 1 bucket at a time. Usually takes me about 3 buckets to get it back to level. I use Seachem Prime as a water conditioner. So, you know, on the bottle it says how much to use. So I use the directed amount, and supplement some other Seachem. I've got Flourish for just a plant-based fertilizer. So I did switch and made the switch from just using, you know, NPH, whatever, or NPK. I used to just put handfuls of that stuff in there, and to be honest, I was probably overfeeding. Now that I'm using a professional product, I actually am getting better results. So speaking of professional products, I used to do DIY CO2. So I used to make the carbon dioxide gas through a chemical reaction that uses citric acid and bicarb soda. You put them in 2 soft drink bottles. You can actually buy on eBay the screw-in adapter head. Look, it worked for a little while, but the biggest problem with it, it wasn't stable at all. I had many blowouts where the bottle would leak, and the reacting agent would go into the citric acid, and you basically have a big exploding fizzing thing in your cabinet. So that's probably that, and lighting, inconsistent CO2, all led towards this algae getting a little bit more established than I would like. But I'm getting on top of that with using hydrogen peroxide and this Flourish XL. So I do just do 2 capfuls of this just after I feed every day, just to keep the amount of available carbon in the water for the plants, and hopefully the plants will outcompete the algae, and that's the actual idea behind all of that. And then I basically try and melt as much as I can with hydrogen peroxide. I've got a cool little tool that I saw on another YouTube vid. So I'll do a rundown on how I treat my blackbeard algae, and hopefully I can get on top of that, which is basically, I don't think you can ever have an algae-free aquarium, but it definitely has reduced a heap since I've started, you know, being more attentive towards stability. So anyway, I'll leave you with some footage of the tank, and look forward to seeing you next time when I'll do a couple of rundown videos. I'll do a rundown video of my work tank. I'll do how to treat black brush algae, and yeah, see what else I come up with. Thanks for watching. Yeah, see you again. thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to just press all the buttons, and hopefully you can see more of the videos in which I'm planning on producing. Yeah, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up, and all the other begging things that all the video dudes do online. So yeah, let's help make this channel a success. Thanks, guys.